Rohirrim! Oh wait, nope. Wrong lore. YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of all Cavalry Bretonnia here. So we're going to be doing an all Cavalry Bretonnia, which was at your request in the poll on my last video. And I somewhat hijacked this army off of Ninja Hund. I actually watch him play a lot. It's helped my online play quite a bit, especially since I don't play much. I get most of my time seeing tactics and tips from him. If you want to see a lot of online battles, I definitely recommend you go hit up his Twitch channel. So yeah, he's definitely worth a watch. Does a great job. So I've got 2 questing knights, and this is where mine differs from his quite a bit. His was an anti-greenskin build. I just modified this version of it. So I got 2 questing knights. I've got 2 Grail knights, 2 Knights of the Realm, and 3 Knights Errant. And I've got the Knights Errant and my Grail Knights in the Lance formation. I probably could have done the Knights of the Realm the same, but I haven't. Lance formation gives them a pretty big boost to acceleration, charge bonus and stuff. It's pretty fun to use. I haven't found it to be useless. Now, my opponent picked vampires, and he took off into the woods, and this is definitely the right move to do. So the only thing I could do was try and scare him out of the woods, and I sent him a message, and I was being nice about it. I was like, because he was a viewer, and he had been talking to me. I was like, yeah, I'm not planning on coming in those woods unless you can make me. And I'm kind of bluffing, because I don't have anything to make him come out either. And he started coming out, and I was like, okay, sounds good. Sorry, man. Sorry. I didn't want to charge you in the woods, but I didn't have any way to make you come out, so I just had to try diplomacy. Unfortunately for me, it's working. My opponent's got a couple of skeleton spears, and he brought quite a bit of Graveguard. Like, I'm almost wondering if he was expecting a more infantry-heavy Fey Enchantress build, which is quite a bit more common for Bretonnia. Like, folks will still spam out quite a lot of peasant units. Interesting that he brings the Cairn Wraiths. I'm not sure, maybe he was hoping to combine them against Foot Squires, but Bretonnia can feel quite a lot of magic damage. He does have a Corpse Cart, and then his Hero Core is pretty potent. He has a Vampire Lore of Death, he's got Vlad von Karstein, and he's also got a White King, and I'm trying to locate them. Here they are. Or no, he's got Heinrich Kemmler, so my bad. So this is pretty cool. He brings Kemmler, and he's got the Vampire Lore of Death. So he's got Lore of Vampires, Lore of Death, and he's got a White King. It's honestly kind of a different and kind of a fun vampire army. I remember when these vampire ladies used to be like 2 or 3 in every vampire army just for the Spirit Leech mania. It was insane. I was worried she was going to Fate of Buna me, and watch this. He comes up. All he's got, I think he does have Fate of Buna. He's also got the Purple Sun of Zerus. And I want to say he's also, yeah, he's got Fate of Buna. It's a 100-meter spell. I couldn't quite remember how far it was. I was really worried he was going to Fate of Buna me. So I was keeping my finger on like the healing trigger, because I was going to try and undo his Fate of Buna. It costs like 15 or 16 mana, and my heal is only like 9. Yeah, so right here, he cast a spell, and I was like, oh crap, it's Fate of Buna, but the sound wasn't correct, and I'd go ahead and drop a healing spell. It was just Spirit Leech. It really wasn't going to do much to me, and so I waste a heal here, thinking that I was cleverly undoing a Fate of Buna. So unfortunately for me there, I wasted probably as much magic as him. So I've got my Grail Knights and my Questing Knights out on the flanks. I didn't know if he had anything hidden. Nothing's coming out, but my Questing Knights will match up extremely well against Graveguard. They will chew them apart, and my Grail Knights will absolutely ransack Cairn Wraiths. And then the Fey is going to be kept safe by these Grail Guardians. I didn't bring Sylvaron just for the sake of cost. And so the initial bit here, we're going to just do a charge. So for the lady, for Lord and Liege, vanquish these undead scum. Yeah, that's right. You take your vanquishing, vampires. You take your vanquishing. So here comes all the charges. And I'm moving these knights. Got a quick charge in on the flank. And then I've got these ones coming up from behind the vampire formation. So really, I blob right here into the center going after the vampire leaders initially, and I want to force the skeleton spears to come in and fight me. He's putting in zombies to try and keep me here, which is not a bad tactic. Questing Knights are coming into the Graveguard, and then I'm going to slam my Grail Knights here and Questing Knights into the Cairn Wraiths, and hopefully quickly get rid of them before they can do any armor-piercing damage. And immediately, of course, I dropped an Earth Blood in the center, because the healing for Bretonnia is better to get it early than to wait, because you can't resurrect models, whereas the vampires actually can resurrect models as well. And you can see over here the Questing Knights are absolutely wrecking the Graveguard. Those guys will chew through armored infantry, such as Graveguard. They may not be able to go headlong into something like a Black Orc and win, but they do immense damage to armored infantry, and they're actually really good against armored cavalry if they can be healed or don't take the brunt of the fight. Look at the Cairn Wraiths. They got nuked by the Grail Knights, and then my Grail Guardians are here too, so they kind of got caught in between the Grail Guardians and the Grail Knights, and so they got absolutely wrecked. The Skeleton Spears are still hanging on, and they're getting a pretty fair number of kills in a couple spots for that. It may not look like a lot, but remember, I have an all-cavalry army, so the number of kills for him is going to be lower and can still be substantial. But you can see the Graveguard over here got absolutely smoked by the combination of Questing Knights. Look at that, 72 kills, 63 kills on that Grail Knight. So lots of kills. The Knights Errant are easier to get out of the fight for the Vampire, and here you can see he does have me trapped in. So my goal is going to be clean up the Graveguard fight and then swing around here and get a nice rear charge here. But for the moment, I'm going to go ahead and finish off. I'm going to crunch these spearmen between several units of cavalry and try and get these skeletal spearmen off the field. I don't want their anti-large bonus. I'm going to try and use the Chalice of Potions, and my opponent here very nicely dodges it with his infantry. Well done. So yeah, the Chalice of Potions probably did more damage to me than it did him right there. So nicely done by my opponent. I'm going to drive another charge home here. The Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone's about to go down, and I just want to put some pressure on the back of this Vampire formation. A lot of his infantry has been taken care of on the flanks, so at this point it's looking pretty good for me. It's just this ball of Sternsmen and Graveguard back here that's able to lend some support. Fortunately for me, they're not good against armor, but there are a lot of them, and I don't want them to remain in this fight indefinitely. So I'm going to start pulling my Questing Knights out of the fight and get ready to swing them around in behind these Graveguard. So I'm doing a little bit of healing right now. The Fey Enchantress, I just keep an eye on her the whole time. Basically, the Vampire Infantry Lords and Heroes cannot get through my cavalry to get to the Fey Enchantress, so she's quite safe. And even if there were Blood Knights or Cryptors or stuff like that, that's what your cavalry's for. The enemy can't effectively move through them. I'm going to transfer these Grail Knights over here to help get rid of the Graveguard, and then in the back here, I've got a nice downhill charge lined up into these Graveguard. So we should be able to polish off the Sternsman and this other Graveguard with all this armor piercing, and otherwise, doesn't take a whole lot of skill on my part. This just devolves into a healing blob for Bretonnia, which a lot of people do hate Bretonnia's ability to effectively run several types of healing blobs. But I guess vampires aren't the ones that have a patent on that ability anymore. These Knights Errant did get terrified out of the fight, but they should come back rather quickly. They're being healed by Earthblood. So at this point, it's looking quite good for me. My opponent lost most of his key units. It was cool that he brought a Kimmler build. I think that's pretty neat. Unfortunately for him, it backfired the minute I had all this cavalry. There's a number of vampire builds, though, that would have scared me considerably. If he would have had a number of Blood Knights here, that would have been a little bit frightening, because it would have been a lot more difficult for me to get things done. However, if he would have brought, some Cryptors, Skeletons, and Blood Knights, if I could have dealt with the Blood Knights properly on the flank with a combination of Grail and Questing Knights, I mean, my Knights of the Realm do pretty darn good against stuff like Cryptors. It's just a matter of whether the Vampire player can keep their Cryptors safe with a meat shield of cheap units. So that's really the key. Yeah, so you can see up here the Graveguards being routed. Questing Knights, just really pound for pound fantastic units against armored infantry, especially if that armored infantry is not really good at fighting back. And then Grail Guardians are really good against low armor infantry. So that's kind of the thing. And of course, Grail Guardians and Grail Knights both deal magic damage, so they're extremely good versus ethereal units or units that have physical resistance. So for instance, just to give you all a quick demonstration. Oh crap, I kind of went through that end screen a little too fast. My bad. Sorry to my opponent there. Let's find his name. Big Mike, thanks for the game, man. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate you watching the videos. Sorry I had to force you out of the forest there, man. It wasn't my proudest moment, but I had to try something. So, but thanks for the game. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate you watching the videos, and I hope you're enjoying Warhammer, and I hope to run into you again sometime. And you can get me back for calling you out of the woods. So I'm gonna go into a different map. Let's go to .kraz. Yeah, this one should work, just so we can see better. And I'm just going to throw a Bretonnian Lord on here. And I just want to give you a quick demonstration of what Grail Guardians are capable of. They're absolutely absurd against, you know, and the best example I could think of for the greenskins is, or not just for the greenskins, but happens to be with the greenskins, which is Savage Orcs. And even we'll go with Savage Orc Big Uns, because these guys have a bonus versus large, but Savage Orcs rely on a physical resistance. It's 30%, which is significant. But just watch how much damage a unit that does magical damage, because it ignores that 30% physical resistance. And these guys have like almost no melee defense. They don't have any armor, and they just get hammered by units like this. So greenskins, beware of an all cavalry Bretonnia build. They can be tricky. I think the greenskins do have the ability to fight it off, but like I said, it can be tough if you come ill prepared to deal with it, because Bretonnia can heal their cavalry. And in this case, I'm not gonna heal, and I'm gonna leave my lord back just to kind of make it fun. But like I said, just wanted to demonstrate the raw power when you match the right units against the right units. Let's charge this group just real quick. So look, this one's gonna go headlong, 3-1. This one over here, go charge in. Let's just see how much damage these guys can do up against 4 Savage Orc Big Uns. You can see this unit out here that's singled out is getting crunched pretty hard by the Grail Guardians. Now over here where it's 3-1, the Savage Orcs are doing a little better, plus they have the support of their lord. But look, this Grail Guardian's going to fight its way through that unit, and it's going to allow me to get into the back of here, and this might actually do it. We'll see, because this unit took a pretty good beating in the meantime. But yeah, look at the damage they can do to the Savage Big Uns. So again, that magical attack that they have just completely ignores the physical resistance of the Savage Orc Big Uns, and you can see that I was easily able to rip straight through headlong 4 units of Savage Orc Big Uns, and that was with their lord nearby to keep their leadership up. Now granted, I took away all the abilities from the lord, like Wah. They could have had a Night Gobbo Shaman for sneaky, what do they call it, sneaky stabbing and itchy nuisance and stuff like that. Maybe pretty close in the end, but this includes killing a Night Goblin War Boss, because he gets routed too. But yeah, again, there, just look at the raw power of the Grail Guardians when they get the right matchup. So, pretty impressive. Of course, these guys cost the same, more than 2 Savage Orc Big Uns, so you would expect them to do well, and they did do well. They did do well. Another good example, let's just, so units that have regen, I say units that have regen, so let's think about Grail Guardians. So like, what is the real niche of, or sorry, Grail Knights? And Grail Knights, their niche would be against units that are low armor, large low armor units. So from the greenskins, it'd be something like Trolls, but Trolls have really poor leadership. So I think a better example here would be to come in and give you this one. Let's even leave Invocation in the Heck, just to make it more interesting. So we'll leave Invocation of Nehek on the Vampire Sorcerer here. We're going to take away that one, and he can replenish. So let's give the Vampire, I'm going to bring a couple Grail Knights. Let's bring 4 Cryptors. And 4 Cryptors, now granted, these guys would typically be supported by Vampire Infantry, but just want to give you an example of how badly Grail Knights can nuke something like Cryptors. So again, Grail Knights are going to be exceptionally effective versus low armor, large targets. So anything that counts as large, that's horse size or larger, with low armor, that's going to be what Grail Knights are good against. And if those things happen to have physical resistance too, then they're good against that. If they're ethereal, they happen to be good against that as well. So Grail Knights have, they're really, really good in this role, and they're pretty good in other roles, like against other cavalry. So that's just kind of where they end up landing. But watch how badly we're going to wreck the Cryptors. I'll leave the unit flags up so you can see it. And they're going to immediately get an Invocation of Nehek, and they have regeneration, and they're being regenerated by the Master Necromancer. And just look at the savaging they're taking from the Grail Knights. And again, this is with an upgraded Invocation of Nehek and the immediate support of the Master Necromancer's healing. This is just headlong, and I don't even have the Grail Knights in the wedge formation. And remember, Cryptors are armor piercing, So they do pretty fair damage to the cavalry in return. They don't have anti-large, but they're armor-piercing. And already the AI is dumb and they pull out, but it's not like the Cryptors are going to rout. They don't rout. But yeah, you can just see how badly these guys savage their way through Cryptors. It is impressive. Definitely impressive. Yeah, look at that. Those guys are already gone. And believe it or not, Knights of the Realm are actually pretty good at this as well. Knights of the Realm can fill this role as a cheaper option. Now, beware, though, that they don't have the magical damage. So they don't have that flexibility against ethereal units. But these guys, the Knights of the Realm, though, like I said, can be a cheaper version to accomplish the same thing. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this quick look at an all-cavalry Bretonnia. Make sure and check out the poll so that you can vote on what I do next. Appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel. Appreciate you, my awesome viewers, being here. HeirofCarthage signing out. I will see you next time.